Well, you're asking about the Building a Character campaign. I'd like to step back a little bit farther, actually back to 1996 through 2001. And back in the 90s, something passed called Proposal A that prohibited school districts from operational millages. Well, the Hackley Library, and in fact a number of other libraries around the state, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Lansing, Ann Arbor, Saginaw, we were all part of our school district. So Hackley Library was a branch of Muskegon Public Schools. In 2001, we separated because we couldn't have an operation millage, and without the operation millage, we can't open the doors. So in 2001, we separated. And it wasn't very long after that, but the weather got hot. Those were some of the hottest summers that Muskegon has ever had. And it was pretty miserable having a library board actually meet in the library, as opposed to the Board of Education meeting across the street in air-conditioned comfort. Got the library board to examining every corner of the library. What do we do here? What do we want to do here? Back when we separated from the school district, the vote was better than 95% to support the Hackley Library. That's the most that has ever won any election in Muskegon County. That's the biggest plurality on any question of any kind. Well, why did all those people vote for the library? Good question. What did they expect? What did they want from the library? What should we be doing with all this support? So the library board has had surveys. We survey the citizens every 3 years. We've done a lot of looking. We did focus groups. We went to other old libraries to see what did they do in Howell, what did they do in Marquette, what did they do in Ypsilanti, where they also had other old buildings that needed some work to continue to serve people in the best possible way. The best possible way has changed a little. Certainly computers. Mr. Hackley, I'm sure, didn't foresee the advent of laptops, nor did anyone else from his group. And so how could we continue to serve people in the best possible way, knowing that people find reading, find information in different ways? They got some answers with that and thought, you know, let's not just start doing things in the building. Let's figure out what we want to do here, and then we can fix what needs fixing and do what needs doing for the way the people of Muskegon want to use their Hackley Public Library. And that's exactly what happened. The library board came up with a list of things that need to be done. We'd all like there to be air conditioning. We see people come in the summer and they get as far as the doorway. They realize it's hotter inside than it is outside, and they turn around and leave. It is hotter on the inside, by the way, because of the big stone walls. They absorb the heat. Same principle as with pizza ovens. You get a 20-inch thick stone wall and it gets hot outside. The stones absorb the heat and they just radiate it back onto whatever is on the inside, like cooking a pizza in a brick pizza oven. Works the same way. So, air conditioning, heating, the boiler was installed in 1963. It's in great shape, it's up to code, but boilers don't last forever. Our bathrooms are from 1935, and a lot of people have complained about the bathrooms. They function, obviously. When you turn a faucet, the water comes on. We keep them repaired, but they have a strange old ventilation system that I think must have been invented by Charles Hackley himself, because they smell kind of musty. It's not a sewage smell, it's kind of a odd, musty smell. The arrangement isn't good in terms of helping children, in terms of serving the handicapped, accessibility issues, safety issues. So people are very unhappy about our bathrooms. Citizens told us they don't like the light in the reading room. In fact, there's a state guideline that says there should be 50-foot candles of light at tabletop level in public libraries. And at that level, in the Hackley Public Library, in some places in the main reading area, it's as low as 3-foot candles per foot. So that's, it's dark, and it's hard for people to see. We came up with and one of the main things that came up is that from the Youth Services Department on the second floor and from the basement area, we really don't have emergency exits. Thank goodness there has never been a situation where people needed to leave in case of an emergency, but if they did, we'd have a problem and they'd have a problem. So they put all those needs together and came up with a list. And then we asked, so how much is this going to cost? The answer is it's going to cost between $3.7 and $4 million. Well, that's a lot of money, and it's particularly a lot of money at this time in Muskegon's history. We thought we could probably raise $1 million, $1.1 million. So the library prioritized the things that were most important. And heating and air conditioning are not in phase 1. They're phase 2, and they're very important. But we've been here 121 years without air conditioning. We can make it a while longer. And the boiler is repaired, so we're not at a do-or-die situation. What's most important is those emergency exits. What's most important is those bathrooms. And, of course, lighting so that people can actually use the building. So they got together, and we got a wonderful, wonderful committee of citizens headed by Steve Westfall from the Chronicle and some other wonderful people to tell the library story to folks in our community, to help us write grants. We've done all that. We've raised the $1.1 million. We're getting ourselves together. We're getting ready to put out bids and those kinds of things so that construction can start this summer. We'll do the first phase of construction and, then start raising money for phase 2. Of course, anybody's welcome to contribute for phase 2, which is the heating and air conditioning. We know it'll be much more efficient. We'll save a great deal on our heating bills compared to our 1963 boiler. But the Building a Character campaign has gone through because it's a great building, because of there's a lot of character in the building, because it builds the character of people that use the library. Hope that answered your question.
Yes, I would like you to talk, if you would, about the nomination coming up. Historical.
You've asked about the library being named a National Literary Landmark. That is a project of the wonderful, wonderful Friends of Hackley Public Library. What a group of supporters and friends in every sense of the word. They learned about the Literary Landmark program less than a year ago and said, hey, that is something we should apply for. Literary landmarks are places, or actually even things, across the United States that have some tie to a famous literary character, author. For example, Mark Twain's birthplace in Hannibal. The bar where Jack London did a lot of his writing in Oakland, California. But also the actual raven, which has been stuffed from Edgar Allan Poe's poem, quote the raven nevermore. Quote the raven? Whatever the raven did. He didn't croak. Seth the Raven, nevermore. The raven has been stuffed. I believe he's in Kansas. So that's a National Literary Landmark. There are 6 literary landmarks in Michigan. And you might ask, well, why is the Hackley Public Library a particular literary landmark? What author or group of writings are we associated with? The Hackley Library is associated with a children's author named Verna Ardema. Her married name was Verna Ardema Vugdeveen. Verna Ardema had been a reporter, and she was a teacher for Mona Shore schools. But whenever she had a story idea, she came to the Hackley Library to try it out. And she did the research for her story ideas here, too, with the help of the Hackley Library librarians and staff. Her stories are African tales. They're tales from all over the world, particularly Africa, but also Mexico and Central America and other places. She wrote the award-winning book, Why Mosquitoes Buzz in People's Ears. She wrote Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plain. She wrote Who's in Rabbit's House, books that children just love. Mrs. Ardema would come to the library, research stories in anthropology books and those kinds of big, dusty tomes written for adults and for anthropologists, and she would take those stories and turn them into children's stories, and then she'd come to the library and she'd say to Rita Seacook or Bernie Houseward, whoever was the librarian there, let me read it to the children. So she would read her stories to the children here. She'd try them out here, then she'd revise and come back. There she was called Muskegon's Story Lady, and indeed she was. So we are being named a literary landmark because this was Verna Ardema Vugdeveen's home library. On June 12th, we are dedicating the plaque. We're having a big dedication ceremony. There'll be people singing. There will be, of course, the unveiling of the plaque. There'll be a group of children from NIMS. who are doing a small play of one of our Artemis books. And of course, there'll be punch and cookies. It's going to be an exciting day. It starts at 4 o'clock. The big event is going to be at the Muskegon Museum of Art Auditorium. Then we'll all walk over here for the refreshments and for a chance to look around our wonderful children's department. We're very excited about being a literary landmark.
How about if you tell us about the award that you received?
Well, another thing the Friends did, speaking of awards, is they nominated me for a national award called the I Love My Librarian Award. This award is sponsored by the American Library Association, the Carnegie Corporation of New York, and the New York Times. And annually for 4 years, this year, 2012, will be the 5th year, they invite citizens across the country to nominate a librarian that they feel has made an impact in their community. And the Friends of Hackley Public Library nominated me. There were almost 2,000 nominations received this year, and I was flattered and awed and very humbled to be selected as one of the 10 I Love My Librarian awardees for 2011. I got to go to New York City to get the award. The speaker at the award ceremony was Caroline Kennedy, it was fun to meet her and nice to hear what she had to say and how libraries have impacted her life. It was awe-inspiring to meet the other 9 librarians. I know that we all felt that we really didn't quite belong in that group of people. There were academic librarians, school librarians, children's librarian, a librarian who works with blind and otherwise physically challenged people in Washington, D.C. She does book discussion groups for teenagers. She does story times in sign language. She does all kinds of things there. I could sure see why she got the award. I think that I got the award as a representative for all the good things that happened in Muskegon. I was the one standing in front of a crowd, but it's all the other people that make the Hackley Library what it is too. It's not just me. It's certainly the dedicated trustees. Where would we be without a library board volunteering their time? It is the incredible work of the Friends of the Library that do royal wedding breakfasts and use book sales and apply for literary landmarks and do so many incredible things. They raised $100,000 for the children's department. They restored our stained glass window. So it's the Friends, it's the staff that's outstanding, helpful, knowledgeable, dedicated, experienced. And certainly it's the people of Muskegon who voted for the library back in 2001, so we wouldn't have to close, who are paying for it. The library is the people's library. A few years ago, a young man came up to me and looked all around, and many of you have been here. You've seen the stained glass windows, the incredible woodwork, the 7 fireplaces. It's a magnificent building in every sense of the word, and this young boy said to me, "Lady, do you own this library?" And I said, "No, I don't own the library, you own the library." And that's the way it is in Muskegon. I don't own the library. I'm the director, I'm the one that got the award, or the one that got to go to New York and get the award, but the award is for everybody here because it's Muskegon's library, it's not mine.